But we're not going to call it the reality report. Wait, what are we going to call it, Chris?
Mike, how screwed are we?
Mike, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
There you go. I want you to know we take this really, really seriously because, no one in my family works for the state. How about you, Chris?
Nope.
Nope. How about you, Mike?
I don't work for the state, no.
Anybody in your family work for the state?
No.
No. So, Mike, just this week, just how screwed are we?
Okay. Well, you may not work for the state, but you could be in a municipality and be really screwed.
Ooh.
What's going on in West Warwick? I mean, we talked about this briefly a few weeks ago. And I guess the West Warwick disease is starting to spread out through the rest of the state, sort of a bad biohazard.
Yeah, it's very worrisome. There was some dim hope in the RISA, the RIRSA state reforms that took place, and they formed a thing called the Pension Study Commission, which was managed by the Revenue Director Rosemary Booth Gologly. And they were supposed to identify the 17 critical towns which had already been identified, and then kind of whip them into shape, get them up to date in reports, and and start them on the tack of reform, because cities and towns actually have to put in ordinances and make contract negotiations. It's much more difficult than the state saying, from today we're having a hybrid plan. So West Warwick was one of those towns, and that was a town that just didn't listen to the Pension Commission, and I've been very critical of the Pension Commission because, on one day they sound angry and like they want you to do something, and on the next day they put you in the corner for 5 minutes, and then you continue to do what you're doing. West Warwick is, to me, like the poster child for what not to do.
Now, this is the municipality just a few years ago had sunk, I guess, millions of dollars, or attempted to sink millions of dollars into a front-end, highly leveraged annuity, right? I mean, this is truly amateur hour there in the years running up to this, correct?
Yeah, and you're talking about on the pension management side in terms of managing the assets. And so they had kind of a town management responsibility team, and they chose to put something out in Arizona somewhere, I believe, and didn't work out so well.
And as is typical. So now going forward, just 2 years ago, Ruth, Gologly, was the lioness, the hero of Don Carcieri and of state government everywhere. What's happened, and what does this portend for Providence and the other cities?
Well, I mean, West Warwick is so here we have this pension commission that's trying to tackle this problem, but typical to everything that we form in this state, whether it's a commission or even the Auditor General, they have no teeth whatsoever. So they can say whatever they want to whatever town and say, you must do this, you must do that, but they don't have any weapon with which to make the towns do it. So West Warwick literally, for over a year, ignored what the commission was saying. And finally, Gologly got so upset about it, she went out and she said, you have to listen. This is the Titanic. This is no joke. And eventually, she became involved in trying to fix the town's problems. To her credit, she tried to take it on herself. The problem is the fix that they came up with and shoved down voters' throats about a week and a half, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, is a hoax. They didn't even use the same metrics that she's been telling everyone else they should use for the last 2 months, which is GASB 68. If you use that, West Warwick is, about a $15,000 per household pension debt and in serious trouble, and they'll be right back in state takeover within a year.
It's your contention that the state and municipalities are sugarcoating this for taxpayers.
Absolutely.
Is this because it's the quote-unquote silly political season? Are they just essentially trying to get through to December?
They're always trying to get through to some date. The truth is they can't actually recognize what the real costs are going to be, and they can't do anything about it, because to do so would be significant pain, taxpayers and retirees and employees alike.
Now, flash forward to Providence, which of course is the truly the elephant in the room pension-wise. Ultimately, you've got a mayor who he's running for governor.
Yeah.
It would appear that his entire efforts are dedicated to running governor. What we seem to have is yet another Providence mayor who is looking past office and possibly leaving what at this point a Category 6, and instead of a hurricane, what is it, a tsunami?
He clearly punted. I mean, he did the minimum, maybe a little bit more in terms of his negotiations and new ordinances. He capped out pension salaries at $150,000. Thanks a lot. He got rid of the 6% COLAs. Thought those were too egregious. But real change, no, not really. And Providence sits right now, even after that, at about 20% funded. I have them 10% lower than they say they do. Not 10% lower, 30% lower. They think they're 31% funded. They're 20 to 21% funded.
Which, I guess our final thought for the day, if this were, in pension terms, when it comes to normal corporations, they talk about, the honest man, the regular guy, the concept, whatever concept, where if you were a private corporation, is it fair to say that the IRS would have shut down and invalidated the
Oh, absolutely. The corporate rules are completely different. What's happening now to all the states and all the cities and towns is not Mike Riley putting them under a microscope. It's GASB, Government Accounting Standards Board, and some of the rating agencies are saying, okay, you guys clearly need rules and different metrics. And GASB's metrics are what's going to make all these cities and towns in Rhode Island have to face facts. And that starts right now, July 2014.
Excellent. Just in time for the primary season, and I'm sure...
Oh, they can lie until next July.
Mike, final question. If you were a betting man, what saith you? Odds of anything getting better?
Very bad. And what we're most vulnerable to as a state is lower home prices. If that happens, kaboom. So
who's going to be able to sell a home into an environment where you've got a known propensity for a near catastrophic increase in real estate taxes?
Look, in Providence, if you went to the west side and you knew that there was $40,000 in the upstairs closet in taxes, you wouldn't buy a house.
There you go. Well, Mike, thanks again for joining us. We look forward to your continuing commentary. Mike, where can we see your blog, and where do you write?
I write at Go Local every Tuesday, so that'll be out. And I've been writing blogs lately. I discovered a insider trade in 38 Studios, which is now topical. And so it's at Rhode Island Shrugs, RIShrugs.blogspot.com.
Great. Mike, thanks again for joining us.
All right.
Well, folks, again, that was Mike Riley and his almost every other week discussion of just how screwed are we. Follow him in Go Local Prov. Go Local Prov has become a go-to source for all your information about pension, the type of stuff that the Providence Journal just doesn't seem to want to touch. In the brief run-up before our break, we are honored this week to have Bob Steele on the radio show with us. Bob, welcome to the Coalition.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're running just a minute or two before the break. Bob's got quite the background. We talk about Renaissance men here all the time, men and women. Bob has served ably in the United States Congress on the House Foreign Relations Committee. He has been a member of the Central Intelligence Agency. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
And we are going to discuss after the break a book that's really prescient in the sense that it discusses both a historical and current-day political environment surrounding the expansion, the explosion, and some would now say the implosion of casino gaming. Sorry, we're not allowed to use that term anymore.
Please don't use the word gaming in front of me.
Gaming. The only people getting gamed right now are the citizens of Newport, Rhode Island, but gambling. Bob, you can be found on the web at www.rhsteele.com.
That's right, rhsteele.com.
Is that with an E at the end or no?
Steele,
okay.
Yes.
And the name of your book?
The Curse, Big-Time Gambling Seduction of a Small New England Town.
And after the break, my first reaction is going to be, and I want to ask you about this is not only a commentary on gambling. A big part of this book is really, it's almost like a love note to Connecticut, isn't it?
Well, I'm very fond of Connecticut and very, very unhappy with what's happening there, yeah.
Great. We'll see you right after the break. You're on WPRB AM 790, your station for talking business. Thank you.
Manchester 65 is New England's newest live music and events venue. If you're not completely enjoying your current live music experience, there is another option. Manchester 65 is large enough to support touring acts, yet small enough for that local feel. For upcoming events, go to Manchester65.com. Make it your place. Manchester65.com.
This is Amy from Moriarty's Fence, the Invisible Fence brand pet safety experts. A lot of people ask, what's the difference in pet containment? The biggest difference is the people behind the product. Moriarty's designs and delivers pet solutions for outdoor containment and indoor avoidance with the highest level of customer service support. Discover what our clients call peace of mind. Call 800-225-0808 for a free consultation or schedule online at moriartysfence.com. Moriarty's installed outdoor safety solutions start as low as $779 and can be customized for your property. At Moriarty's Fence, we work hard so you can rest easy knowing your pet is safe at home.
Well, it just makes sense. It's the fence that makes sense. Get the invisible fence.
Moriarty's Fence, 800-225-0808, keeping pets safe since 1986. Moriarty's Fence reminds you to support your local shelter, adopt, volunteer, donate.
Use your unique talent to help end hunger. The 1 of 52 Hunger Network is a grassroots movement that allows you, as an individual, to have a major impact on ending hunger. No fees, only action in just 1 week a year. Join this Strength in Numbers network at oneof52.net. Do you have an upcoming party, gathering, or social event? Want experienced mobile sound entertainment? Then contact DJ Psycho Eddie. Having worked with several local and national acts, as well as charities, nonprofits, and the area's best live event venues, DJ Psycho Eddie can get the party started and keep it going. Contact DJ Psycho Eddie today at 401-338-0787 for a free consultation, or look for DJ Psycho Eddie on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Coalition on Talk Radio, AM 790, your station for news, business, and sports. And now we're going to talk about gambling. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you, P.O.
Okay. I am thrilled to introduce Bob Steele. Right before the break, we spoke about his presence in Connecticut. Gambling is a particularly prescient issue right here in Rhode Island right now. We spend a lot of time on this show about it because I consider it fundamental to trying to maintain our way of life. We see the economic devastation that Twin Rivers / Lincoln / whatever we're calling it this year has laid to the Blackstone Valley. We like to say we know how the movie ends. In Newport, we had Father McKenna on here just a few weeks ago, right before Newport decided that, yes, again, like Glenn Close coming out of the tub, we're again going to vote on the expansion of casino gambling.
Right, because they didn't believe the voters the first time. They want to make sure...
Or the second time, or
right.
just a year and a half ago.
Right.
So Newport, which has clearly got a lot of money in the municipality, is willing to spend yet more money, having yet another group of people come through. So again, Bob, welcome to the show. I have to tell you, I'm about 3/4 of the way through your book. Let's just talk about the book itself. It's a marvelous read. So many books that can touch on social issues and try to make a point can be preachy, they can be patronizing, they can be boring. The book opens up in pre-colonial Connecticut. There's a lot of history in there if you're a history buff. There's a lot of war in there if you're a war buff. There's a lot of human drama if you're looking for human drama. But throughout the entire book, there's this sense of dread and then approaching doom as folks begin to become cognizant of what's happening around them in form of the impact of state monopolizing, mandated, imposed casino gambling on their lives. Let's step back a second. Like I said, to me, particularly in the early portions of the book, it reads like your own little love letter to the state. Tell me about your presence in the state and just your career, a little bit of your career in politics, and how you came to this point where you had to almost write this book.
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, grew up in the Hartford area, and I went to school in high school in Connecticut. I went to college in Massachusetts and then in New York. And then I did serve in the CIA for 6 years. I was a Soviet affairs specialist, so I guess that dates me back to the Cold War. But I did come back to Connecticut, and I then worked from Connecticut internationally as a consultant for the banking industry around the world. I've traveled throughout the world, done projects in Asia and in Europe. Worked in New York for a while, but always back to Connecticut.